Hi, welcome to the Big Arsenal discussion live from the Tollington. I'm your host Giles, and here we have regulars Amanda from the Gooney Girls podcast, Robbie from Arsenal Fan TV, and the one and only Chris Hudson.
Sorry, do I know you?
All right, okay, let's cut to it. Last night's result. I'm going to ask you one by one a brief assessment of the game. I'm going to start with you, Amanda. What's your assessment of the game?
I don't understand the team selection. I don't understand his tactics. I think if Giroud would have stayed on the pitch, we would have won. I don't understand what Giroud was doing. I'm upset. Same old, really, isn't it? We go to Europe and again. What can I say? He picks a team that he thinks that can win in Zagreb, obviously. Perhaps he had Chelsea in mind. I don't know. All I know is we're 5 games in, they can't be tied unless they had a niggle from the weekend. That team, I suppose, should have been good enough. Unfortunately, I never feel safe unless Coquelin's playing. I don't understand. That's all I can say. I don't get it. I don't get his team selection. So,
Chris, can you offer some opinion on how you saw the game last night? When you saw the team list and you saw the 6 changes, did you think it was justified? Did you see Wenger's his thought process behind, swapping 6 players?
I can see his thought process because obviously he's thinking about Saturday, Chelsea. I don't want to overplay players, but then why play Sanchez, who should even be on the pitch? He should be. If he's going to rest a player, why not rest Sanchez? But the whole performance encapsulated where Arsenal Football Club, as a club, are in this present moment. If you wanted an evidence of a summer of total lack of any transfers, watch that performance. If you wanted an evidence of if Coquelin got injured, watch that performance. If you wanted evidence of the attitude which prevails at this club at the moment, watch that performance.
What do you mean by the attitude that prevails at the club?
The attitude of the performance is a laissez-faire, everyone's in a comfort zone, arrogance. I look at that team last night and it brings home to me the fact that Wenger, he's trying to be clever, he's trying to rest players, but the players he actually put in are not good enough. Arteta shouldn't be anywhere near the Arsenal team. I know that might sound harsh. It also highlights how weak we are up front. The attitude, it's only Croatia, Zagreb. When have Arsenal become that good that we can pick and choose when we're going to win the Champions League game? What have Arsenal done that they can walk on the field with the Arsenal arrogance? It's wrong. Everything is wrong, wrong, wrong.
I don't think they were arrogant, the team.
Oh, sorry,
I don't think they were arrogant. I just think they had a poor day at the office again. I think, he changed the formation and brought 3 subs on, a bit too late for my liking. He should have had them on to begin with. I don't think our players are arrogant. I can't say that. I think part of our club is arrogant, starting at the board. I don't think they're interested. But exactly, I can't disagree with what he said about when can we walk onto a game in Europe and think we can just win it. That's what he thought last night with that team selection.
I want to bring in Robbie. Robbie, you were there last night. You were interviewing a whole host of Arsenal fans. Your own personal view?
My own personal view was when I saw the team selection, I couldn't believe it. I'll be honest with you. I was expecting us to go with our strongest team. I mean, I know we've got Chelsea at the weekend. It's going to be a tough game. We haven't got a good record there, but I couldn't understand resting Coquelin. I could understand maybe leaving out Monreal for Gibbs and maybe leaving out Bellerin and bringing in Debuchy. I can understand those two. But if you're taking out Cech, why you got to rest Cech?
Was Cech really? Do you see him dropping Cech as a problem? I mean, it wasn't really Ospina's fault, any of the goals, was it?
Ospina played very well, made a magnificent save at the end of the game, played well, he was excellent, but why are you taking the spine of a team out? You've taken out Cech, you've taken out, Coquelin. I remember Ramsey as well was left in England, so that's your spine. Your spine's gone, and I couldn't understand that. I'm like, it's the first game of the Champions League. Get a win under our belt. I don't see why the rest. Why do they need this big rest? You know what? The team's plane left at the same time as there was a fans plane that went out. It was a chartered plane. There's 50 of us on that plane, and there was the team's plane with there was probably about 30 of them, and the planes left at exactly the same time, right? I've woken up this morning, and obviously I don't train in that, but they're gonna go probably light training, massage. I don't, it was a 2-hour flight back home. I don't see the need to rest loads of players, and I was very miffed by the team selection. And ultimately, I do think though that the reason why we lost the game was Olivier Giroud. If he hadn't been sent off, I still think even with 10 men we were all over them. Even though counter-attacking they could have got chances, but I think if a Giroud would have stayed on the pitch, hadn't have got those 2 stupid yellow cards, we would have got a minimum of a draw out of the game, which wouldn't have been a bad result away in Europe. But to lose the first game, I thought, and this is not, it's not. We can't assume that we're going to win all 3 home games, because one of those home games is Bayern Munich. So, and somebody was pointing out to me today that Bayern Munich's last game is against Zagreb. They could be through already. They might just, you've seen them over the years. When it comes to the last game, they're through, they rest loads of players. So it's a massive risk by Arsene Wenger, and if it doesn't come off, it's gonna look, well, it didn't come off last night.
Right, so on social media, on the back of the result, we don't like to see it, but certain fans were scapegoating certain players. In particular, Olivier Giroud, as you said, the two bookable offences. Some people said that he was sulking, that he got into it with the referee, and, he shouldn't have done that. He caused the defeat. Amanda, what did you make of his performance? I mean, do you expect more from somebody who's a French international, won the league title in France, he's gone to World Cups and so on and so forth, is a very experienced player. What do you put down what do you put his sending off down to?
I think he's under pressure at the moment. I don't think he sits there and reads social media, but I'm sure he's aware of it. I don't think it helps when he's under that pressure, and the ref wasn't kind to him last night with the dissent and stuff. Saying all that, he acted like, well, I can't say what I want to say. He acted petulant, he acted immature, and he let down the team. As far as I'm concerned, if it wasn't for him sending off, I think we would have won. He had a couple of chances before. He didn't look too bad on the pitch. I don't get what he's done. And as I was just saying, he's done it before, where he's let the team down, he has. And I'm hoping he'll learn from this. We're disappointed in him, but let's just hope that at Stamford Bridge on Saturday lunchtime, I'm assuming he'll be picked, that what's that word?
He recovers. He redeems himself.
He redeems himself, because I think he has let us, himself and the team down.
Chris, you wanted to talk about Giroud.
In defence of Giroud, he's ever since Thierry Henry on Sky slaughtered him, when he said basically he wasn't good enough to lead the Arsenal front line, I think that's had a massive impact on him. I don't think, if you're ever picking up newspapers saying you're not good enough, oh, it's Giroud, he's this, he's that, I think that's had an impact on him. And I look at him now, he's lost his confidence. He was never world class, but he wasn't that bad, was he? And I've noticed in the last couple of weeks, his head's gone down. He don't look right, and I think that perhaps that was the frustration. If people are forever telling you that you're not good enough, it's going to have. I don't care who you are. It's going to have some sort of impact on you. And I just think he's lost. I think he's lost a lot of confidence. And Amanda is right. He is under a lot of pressure. But whose fault's that? It's the manager.
Robbie, do we solely point the finger at Giroud? I mean, there were other players that didn't turn up, that didn't really do themselves any justice. Would you say that?
There were other players that didn't turn up, but for me personally, and I always stick up for Giroud. If anybody who watches our stuff regularly will see. But I must say, last night, I think he cost us a game last night. I mean, that 11 men, I think we would have got a minimum of a draw out of the game, which, as I said, a point away from home. We all assume it's Zagreb, but they've got a great record at home. They haven't lost. They're like an invincibles over there in Croatia. So if we'd have got a point there, that wouldn't have been too bad. But when you put yourself down to 10 men, you're under massive pressure. He's a very experienced guy. The first sending off, he does that a lot, complains, and that. You can't do that in Europe because these referees are trigger happy, and he's played in Europe a lot, so he should know that. And then the second one, he was unlucky, like Amanda said, but you just can't do that. You know, just keep yourself in the game. And I have to blame him for last night. I saw him after the game as well at the airport, and I must say, I felt sorry for him because you could see he was really embarrassed. He was gutted because he knew, I think, he knew himself that he cost us the game. And I think, yeah, under normal circumstances, he's unfairly the scapegoat for a lot of fans because it's not his fault that we didn't buy another striker. He's just trying to do his best, but he has become the scapegoat. But last night, just like that time at QPR, I'm sorry, he's got to take the flak for it. He's got to be a big man, take it on the chin, and let's hope he bounced back. Because last night, for me, he was out there, I thought, Giroud, that was your fault last night.
I think at the moment, Arsenal supporters are looking for scapegoats. But instead of having a go, it's no good having a go at the players, because those players, whether you like them or not, have got to actually take us till Christmas. What you should be looking at is the fact that Arsenal Football Club sat on their backsides all summer and didn't compete in the transfer market. And I don't mean going out and spend 50, 70 million pound on a footballer. I look at Swansea, under RU, I look at West Ham. Every other club has fine players except Arsenal. If you want to look at a scapegoat, have a look at the board, have a look at the manager. You don't get on the players' backs because those players have got to carry Arsenal till Christmas. And I'll tell you something, don't think in January go out and buy players because that'll be another excuse. Welbeck will be like a new signing. Wilshere will be like a new signing. It's wrong. If Arsenal fans want a scapegoat, look at the board and look at the manager. Don't look at the players.
Another player that didn't really cover himself in glory was Mikel Arteta. And I don't, like I said, I don't like calling players out, but I think for me last night showed that we really, really can't do without Francis Coquelin. You know, people were saying after the Crystal Palace game, I think Arteta came on for a 20-minute cameo and saying, "Oh, we'll be all right if Coquelin's out or injured or suspended." But I think last night, even though it was his first game, it really did show that he's beyond it now, isn't he? He's past him now.
Look, I always say I don't feel comfortable when Coquelin's not on the pitch. He cannot play every game. He's going to get injured because we do. He's going to get sent off because he will. And what are we going to do? We all love Arteta as a professional, as a player. It's not his fault. He's not a central defensive midfielder. End of story. Okay? His legs are slow. He can't do it. We all know this. He plays him last night and it proves it. I don't know what we're going to do. Keep Coquelin in cotton wool. Rest him. We can't because he's only one of him. He needs help. Definitely. Don't want to replace Coquelin one bit. I'd want cover for him. As Chris said, we shouldn't be on the players' backs. It's not their fault. They go out. I don't have this arrogant thing with them, but I just think come January and in transfer window again, he isn't going to buy because they're going to be cup tied with the Champions League. That'd be that excuse. No one's available. It'll all be, again, I can't even talk about the transfer window. It's not just this transfer window. It's been the last 2 or 3 years, 4 years. You know, yeah, he bought Ozil. Yeah, he bought Sanchez. You know, fantastic players. I don't know if he was forced to, but that's your opinion. But what I'm saying is, poor Coquelin. That's all I'm going to say, because he is going to tire and he is going to have a bad game because he just can't play every game. So I understand why he put Arteta in last night, but I don't understand, if you know what I mean. He's got to do that, but Arteta is not good enough.
What Amanda says is 100% true, but how can you take Arsenal Football Club seriously? If you compare what I call serious football clubs, do you think they would put themselves in this position? Do you seriously think that Bayern Munich, who Ivan Gazidis loves to compare us with, do you think they would depend on one midfield ball winner with £200 million in the bank?
Robbie, it does seem like a joke now, Gazidis comparing us to the likes of Bayern Munich. But as Amanda said, this is not a problem from last summer. This has been a problem for the last 3 summers. We can go back to Luis Suarez. We've needed a striker since 2012, 13, and also a defensive midfielder for a little while as well. Do you see the team being able to carry the club through this period, going up to January, keeping us in contention for the major honours, and in the hope, some might think it's forlorn hope, that we'll go out and make right the mistakes that we made. Because he did that in January this year, didn't he? He went out and bought a defender. What do you think?
Like this guy said, in January, who's available? We should be bringing, last night, should be able to bring Kondogbia off the bench, who we could have got. We should have been able to bring Schneidlin in, who we could have got. There were defensive midfielders that we could have bought. And we passed on all of them because we thought that Mikel Arteta would be able to cover for Coquelin. And I'm sorry, he's not the answer. You know what I mean? I think, like you said, if he comes in 15, 20-minute cameos, but what if Coquelin gets a situation like Jack Wilshere, where he's out for 3 months? Or he's a very combative player, so it's very possible that you get injuries when you play that style of way. What if he's out for long term? I'd be scared. Yes, we can get through to January and still be competing. I'm convinced we can. But then come January, who are you going to buy? I mean, all of those guys that we could have bought in the summer, they're either going to be cup-tied or they ain't going to come. And now they'll be more expensive as well. So I just don't understand. I think we really missed the trick in the transfer window. We did it last year with a defender when we didn't buy a defender. We've done it again, unfortunately. Let's hope that we can, stay in. Let's hope that I think the main thing is these guys that we've got at the moment, they've got to stay injury-free. If we can keep Walcott injury-free, I think he'll score a lot of goals, even though he's not maybe the world-class striker that we all think we really want. He's not a Suarez, but he is a goal scorer. And I think keep him fit, he'll score lots of goals, but it's keeping him fit. And, we've left ourselves, where we're hanging on a chance. We shouldn't have Bayern Munich don't do that. Even Barcelona, I've said this before, Barcelona.
Coming for you, Robbie.
That's one of our players, that is. Barcelona, who won the treble last season, even they bought outfield players, and they can't even play those players until January because they've got a transfer embargo. And even they, who've got the best team in the world, strengthened. Why didn't we buy an outfield player? I'm baffled. It's just, I still can't get my head around it. But listen, we've got what we got. I'm going to get behind it. I'll still be there. These guys will still be there. If we can get through to January, who knows? Arsene Wenger might surprise us all. He might do.
Let's speak briefly, before we go into the Chelsea game, let's speak briefly about Jack Wilshere. It's very unfortunate. There's so much talk about, why didn't they, if they knew that there was a fracture, why didn't we put him in for surgery 6 weeks ago? Why are we doing it now? Chris, I want to come to you. He's had 24 injuries since his first team debut with Arsenal in 2010. He's had 8 lower leg injuries on the same left leg. Is he ever going to make it at Arsenal? Are we ever going to see the best of Jack for a sustained period of time?
Yeah, the sad thing about Jack is that the way he plays, I think he brings injuries onto himself. So basically, they've got to change the way he plays. And when I watch him play for England in a different position, he doesn't seem to bring those tackles onto himself. So perhaps Arsenal need to look at how he plays for England and bring that to the Arsenal. And it's so sad because all these idiots on Twitter, I'll take him out and shoot him and sell him. What a stupid thing to say. How can anyone? It's so sad. And I'm worried. I've got to admit, I'm very worried about his career.
Yeah, I've got to agree with everything Chris says there. Apart from learning from Roy Hodgson, but yeah, it's really, really sad. I don't know what to say on the Jack Wilshere thing. It's because we look on it and we think, is it the way he plays? Is it the way his legs are? I don't know, but it's definitely a problem there. You can't have that many injuries. Always the same sort of areas. It's got to be worrying, and really worrying for the player himself psychologically. When he runs out onto that pitch, you must be thinking, shall I go in for that tackle? Shall I this? Shall I that? Let's just hope that he can come back. I want them to take their time with this injury. I mean, they've done that before as well. But I want them to take their time and really make him recover fully because, I'd just love to see Jack Wilshere play a full season injury-free, bit like what I said about Theo Walcott. He's class. He's class, this guy, but we just never get the best of him, and I'm worried for his career as well. I'll be honest with you. Just like what Chris says, I'm worried as well.
Amanda, wrap it up with you. What do you think?
He's our Jack, isn't he? And I wish him better. And I'm a little bit... let's all have a Jack hug. He does go into tackles, as Chris was saying, and some pundits have said maybe he needs to change a little bit. Obviously, you will him, don't you, just to be injury-free, to show what he can do, because we know what he can do. He's creative, he's got flair. I love Jackie Wilshere, but I'm like Robbie a bit. I'm very concerned for his career. There's too many injuries at a young age. Just get well soon, Jack.
Yeah. Okay, so just want to wrap it up quickly. Robbie, do you still think we can qualify from the Champions League group?
Yeah, I do. We'll still qualify. We'll still qualify. It's a bad setback, but we'll still get through second in the group.
Yeah, all right.
You're all right, Chris.
Love your confidence, mate. Where's all that Anfield 89 confidence gone?
I've known Chris for about 35 years, okay? That is good for him. That's positive. Will we qualify? I think we'll qualify, but I think it'll be tight. Actually, I think it'll be tight.
Okay, cool. Why don't you guys leave your comments in the box below. Tell us your thoughts about the game last night, the unfortunate situation with Jack Wilshere, and also make sure you hit the subscribe button. This has been Giles and the guys from Big Arsenal Discussion. See you soon.
Like the transition to the new stadium, which was difficult, and the way he's still been managed to keep us up there at the top.
Because it was a great balancing act, particularly when we were building the stadium, where the money was not available.